Alright, you guys, you're watching Frogs Hollow TV from Baja 1000.
Are you going to give me one?
Yeehaw!
I'm honoured to welcome on this week's episode of Frogs Hollow TV Aussie Offroad stars Luke Erceg and Dan Comiskey. Welcome, man.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
First of all, thanks so much for joining us on Frogs Hollow TV this week. We know it's been a crazy few weeks for you all, so we really appreciate your time tonight. I'd like to start with the experience, Luke and Buff. Can you both talk us through the crazy adventure that was a 57th score Baja 1000 in Mexico last month?
You can go first. Wild, really. It you just almost forget some of the stuff we did. It was absolutely wild experience from start to finish, from just rolling into Ensenada before we'd even seen the car, then getting the car delivered. It was just the three of us, Buff, Dad and I, working on the car initially, and then taking it out pre-running. So a lot of the stuff happens before the event even begins. And then to drive to the start line and then physically sit on the start line under the Baja banner and then take off and drive to Nelson's was just it's pretty wild and pretty surreal experience. Because you see these, you always see it on the videos, you see the roads through Ensenada, you see the people on the side of the roads waving to you as the cars drive past, and to be a part of that, it's a pretty wild experience. Like, it's something you look back on and it's incredible. And then once you sit on the start line and it's hard to describe the terrain, the people, how many people are out there watching you, and what you actually put the car through. Even though we didn't get very far, the stories and the actual experience was just wild. Like, it's just, I don't know what other word to use it, but just wild.
Well,
yeah, it was pretty weird when we were going, like, you sort of do a pre-start or a ceremonial start, and then what was it, 10, 15 mile we had to drive out, and you're all suited up, like harness device, helmet, everything, and it's like you're pulling up at traffic lights and there's people there in their cars just looking at you and taking photos, and you haven't even started the event really yet. And then you get out there and you got to waited for about an hour before we started, I reckon. And then, then you're into it. It's just, I don't know, it's weird. It's just, you're not used to anything like it.
And you talked about the terrain. Just for those who are watching, obviously, we're on off-road racing in Australia. You talk Fink, Kalgoorlie, Bowen. Can you just sum it up quickly? Obviously, you're talking about the hills before, the silt beds. Like, it's just nothing else that we've seen here in Australia, that's for sure.
I'll never whinge about a rough track in Australia again. It was rough from word go. Because they do so much pre-running, there's only, I think, was it first 80 miles, Luke? I think they opened it up to like a day or two before the event, but they can pre-run that as much as they want. They're doing it in full light race trucks, everything, and the track's just buggered even before you get to it. So, and we got warned, like, the first 80 Ks is pretty much the worst of the whole event. But yeah, it's just, you think of the worst possible rough track here in Australia, it's like that. Like, it's nuts. I haven't seen anything like it. The holes, like, there's a photo of me standing in a hole and it's up to my waist. It's crazy.
Incredible. And Luke, a bit about the V-dub. Tell us a bit about it. As you said, a mechanical failure about the 66 mile mark, which is what's about 100k mark, 105k mark. But what happened there? Yeah,
so the Beetle itself, we bought it from a gentleman in Ensenada, so we hadn't seen it until the Thursday beforehand, and it was a fantastic car. Like, the quality of the build, everything about it was brilliant. Like, we were really not surprised, but we were very happy, I suppose, with how it was when it rocked up. I think it had 63 raw horsepower, so she's a rocket ship. But it was just cool. Like, everything about it was just amazing, and it turned heads, and the whole Class 11 community was probably one of the highlights of it, being a part of that. Like, we were walking down the street, about to have dinner the night before the race, and we got stopped by another team that was Class 11, and just for half an hour they're giving us pointers what to do, how to avoid this and how to get out of that. And like, they were, anything you need, his phone numbers, like, it was a real nice, tight-knit little community. And that was probably one of the highlights for sure. So we got to, I think it was about mile 57 or something like that. I was driving along and I said to Buff, like, the steering wheel was a bit like towards 2 o'clock. And I thought, I thought we'd had a flat or something was a bit awry. But I thought there was nowhere to pull over. So we kept on going for a little bit longer and it straightened itself back up. So I thought it must have just been the terrain or something along those lines. But then, a couple of miles later, she just steered us straight off to the left. And the first time it happened, I just thought I'd made a pretty big rookie move and didn't grab it coming out of a hole and thought I steered it down the hill. But so it took us about half an hour to get out of that. Luckily, it's a typical Mexico story. 4 locals in a 4-seat Polaris pulled up. How can we help? So we lifted the front of the car up. So I was pointing up the hill. They towed us out. Like, just one of those stories that wouldn't happen anywhere but Mexico. Yeah. And we got maybe 15 meters back down the road again, and it just steered us straight down to where the car rested, pretty much. And so what was happening, the torsion bars inside the front beam, whether they weren't installed correctly or something failed inside there. So the grub screw was no longer holding the top arm in place, and it just slowly walked itself out until it was leaning all the way out the top, had heaps of positive camber, and then it in turn just turned it straight off the side of the track pretty much. And pretty scary. I don't think I've been that scared before, to be honest. Like, it was a long way down, and the thing's shaped like a beach ball, so she wasn't going to stop if it started rolling. So luckily, Buff jumped out steadily and held the car while I got out, and then we managed to wedge the jack underneath the door and made it so she wouldn't roll. But sadly, that was the end of it. Like, about that stage, I think it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sun goes down there at 5:30. So we got on the sat phone to the crew, who are, I think, the 85-mile mark. So they were about 20 mile away, and they tried real hard to get in to us. Where we were was probably one of the worst spots on the track to recover, because of the terrain, because of lack of access roads, the hills, all that sort of stuff. It was very difficult. And then, we got the phone call at about, I think, 9 o'clock at night, something like that, 8 or 9 at night, Buff. But
we were trying. Sorry, man, we were trying to get it, or trying to think of ways we could get it up without blocking the track. Because if we tried to get it up, there would have been like 2 cars blocking the track. So it was just a nightmare spot. It couldn't happen in a worse spot. And then we had Can-Ams wanting to help us as well, but we're worried too, if it did go down the hill, then that might have took them with it as well. And it was just worst case scenario. We just couldn't do anything about it.
And then you had a night in the desert waiting for the chopper the next morning. That would have been an experience in itself.
It was different. It was definitely different. Like, once again, nice and surreal. But the Buff was pretty much, he was my guy. He jumped straight in and got the fire going, and we made a little hut out of shrubbery, and he cleared a little spot for us to lay under. So, because it started raining probably about 8 o'clock and didn't really stop raining all night, and it was just one of those. He was Bear Grylls and got it sorted pretty much.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't naked and afraid, Toby. So we weren't going down that path.
Well, great set of words there from Luke and Buff. They had an excellent time, as did we all, at the Baja 1000 this year. It was a fantastic trip and a great adventure. Unfortunately, the car did let the boys down. It was no fault of their own. It was a bit of an issue with the leaf spring, and people are probably looking at this going, where is the leaf spring on the front end of a V-dub Beetle? And this beam front end has been around forever, and it's sort of the cornerstone of off-road racing because it works so well. A rock comes along, hits the tyre, and it just flicks these arms. These arms just rotate up out of the way. Now, when I refer to leaf springs, if Balin can zoom in on that, or just come in and get a shot of that square there is a pack of slithers of leaves, almost like flat bars. Now, they are anchored in the middle of the beam, so the beam has an anchor point in the middle with a grub screw in it that locks that square keyway in place, and then everything springs off that square set of leaves, which are internal to the beam. Unfortunately, with our beloved 115 bug in Baja, we're speculating and I will say speculating, but it had aftermarket a leaf pack in it, and sometimes they're not dimpled, and some people choose not to dimple them for this grub screw to lock onto, but from my experience, you've either got to dimple them or grind them. You can do that with a drill. Often it's very hard, so you've got to do it with a die grinder. But dimpling them for that grub screw that I'm pointing to there to seat into is critical. And what we believe is that dimpling process was not done, and unfortunately that allowed the arm to slide out. And of course, when the arm slid out, it altered the steering dramatically, and that's what dragged our warriors off the side of the track and into a perilous position on a cliff. So my Baja experience, though, I could not fault the people I was with. I could not fault the time I had. The racing was limited. We didn't do a lot of racing, but I could tell you right now, what I saw as a so-called chase crew really gave me a great snapshot into what was Baja. And probably one of the best things about Baja, it was such an adventure, and I spent it with guys that I already knew. I got to know them better, and those friendships got more solid, and there wasn't a dud person on that trip, and that's what made it so cool. And I've just got to give one last shout out. One thing I didn't realise, that I was reminded of it on the trip. Back in 2011, myself and AJ both won Australian class championships, myself in class 8 and AJ in Pro Light, and I was reminded daily of that. So that was a nice snippet as part of the trip. Anyway, couldn't have done it without the Erceg family, and all the crew that were on board. There were so many of them, I couldn't name them all. And of course, a shout out to the Baja Powerhouse. And just before we go, I'd like to thank Balin. He's a bit nervous, he's on the other side of the camera, but he's done a great job. And I'd like to thank young Caden, as we like to call him, Nugget. He's lent us the farm buggy so we can get a snapshot of the beam and try to show you, I hope I did show you, what's going on with the beam front end on a V-dub. Anyway, Merry Christmas.
In terms of the team, Wolf, you had some great people in Aussie off-road over there with you guys in Mexico, some that have done it a few times before, and then a few, like Marson and Del Sano and so forth, Ash Weiner, and then you also Hamzy and Big Russ Cullen.
Everyone,
good?
Yeah, everyone's, it was pretty cool, like having someone like Russ from Perth, the three bachelors from Sydney, Marty, Ash and Kev, Big Mickey, he was excellent. Everyone's just brilliant. Like everyone just jumped in, helped, did what they could for you. It was, you couldn't have gone with a better group of people. So
that's awesome.
Hopefully you can hear us. We've got accommodation across the road. This is our locked compound. Got chase truck, plenty of spares. Got a beam front end, some tyres, easy up provisions. Enika and Anton down there enjoying the little bit of sun we've got. A couple of chase trucks there, the hire cars. Anyway, this is the facilities. This is where the Aussie team is based. Say hello.
Hello, Russ.
There's AJ. The boy's getting a quick brief from Paul Schaefer. Jim in the background. Luke's been hard at work in that gym. Looking really good there. Got the guns out. Here's the team over here. As you can see, AJ, you got Michael Marson, Benny, Ash, Chris, all working on the car. Got someone with their back to me, I can't quite recognise who it is, it's Marty in there. Anyway, say hello to Frogs Hollow. Hey. Say hello, Australia.
Frog Holio from Mexico.
Anyway, we couldn't have done it without the Baja Powerhouse. It's been a great facility.
And Luke, you've conquered the 1,000 before with the Aussie teammates, but what is it about the Baja that's incredible? I know you mentioned it from the top, but from abroad, what makes it so unique and special in its own way?
Lots of little things that add up to the big things, I suppose. The Mexican people, the way that they get so excited about the race, like it's just like Christmas every time that race is on. Like just from when you drive into town and they're setting up for contingency, the buzz is already there, and the people around contingency, and then the food is all. the people, the weather, everything about that aspect of it is amazing.
Yeah.
And then the race itself, it's just the challenge, but it's not just the challenge of the track itself. It's the whole logistics that are involved. Like, it's driving Adelaide to Melbourne, back to Adelaide, and sometimes back to Melbourne again. Like, it's this massive thing that you need. You need that amazing team around you. You need everyone to work together with the same outcome. And like I think the planning for this has been sort of 7 or 8 months. So you need everyone to be on board for that long. Like, it is a really massive thing. And I think it makes it a real big team sport as well. And it's just, I just love the challenge of it. It's incredible.
And Buff, when you see all over YouTube, the way the sort of front running trophy trucks run through the crowd at the first sort of 20, 30 mile, they all stay along the track for the like back end of the field, or they sort of shift off, or they sort of camp there?
No, well, there's just people, because they start out at the ranch. There's pretty much people from just out the ranch, really, wasn't there, Luke? It was just constantly people everywhere up until that probably 50 mile, and then it started getting sort of a bit few and far between. But it was just, there's people everywhere for that, especially first year 30, 40 mile. They were everywhere. But yeah, it just happened to be where we were, there weren't any people. Like, we had a couple of people stop and try and help, but it was just too hard to get to. It was just like goat country.
But the best part about the people lining the track, though, is that because they love Class 11 so much, they were pointing the lines to us.
Oh, yeah.
So you could see them, like, they were waving, saying, "No, come this way," and then they were directing us back onto the track, and like, they were just everything they could do to help a little Volkswagen out. They were doing it. Like, it was that was cool. That was really cool.
And
there was a spot. There was a big silt bed that we could see all coming up to, and I can still picture the guy's face, Luke. Like, he's just like pointing at us and he's guiding us towards him. So we went towards him and we looked to our left, and there's just a big silt bed full of like bogged vehicles, and we just cruised through and kept motoring through. It was unreal.
Just formulating a plan, go and get the bug. Boys are going to go in the red truck. We're going to stay here and hunker down, look after all the equipment, and they'll bring out the yellow bug.
I think what tracking, you're actually leading Class 11 around that 55, 60 mile mark too, so you're making good time, well and truly, to get to the finish, which is a little bit of a feather in the cap, you could say.
Yep, I'll take it. It was very early days, but I think we'll take that.
Yeah, definitely. So what's next for you and Buff, Luke? You two have been around the Aussie off-roading scene for, it feels like, forever now. And next you're going to see on the track in Australia in 2025?
We're working on a couple of... I personally won't have a car. We're just about to start building our new one. But we've got a couple of cars that we're working on, possibly leasing for a few races, mainly the first half of the year. Outside of that, we'll be crewing. Buff's got his car, which he jumps in with his niece Mia now, so we'll be out there crewing him for as many as they want to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think we might have to duck back to Mexico. We've got a little bit of unfinished business, so we might have to head back there in November, I think.
Yeah, head back. That'll be cool. Breaking news.
No, well, there's a smirk happening there, but we'll see.
Up in the air. And also...
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, it was definitely see how that one goes. Calling the wife when you're in the middle of the desert on a sat phone saying that, don't worry, we're just staying out here for the night. It definitely gets them worried a bit when they're back home. But no, definitely like to go back again. And we did get talking to another Class 11 bloke that helped us out, and that might even be another option, whether it's this year or another year to come, and jump in his bug maybe. So
yeah, very good. And just quickly, I know you're two proud South Australians. What were your thoughts, Mel Brandle? You were there, Luke. It was a pretty awesome feeling. I obviously had the luxury to call Mel and Liam home, but yeah, it was a special weekend for the Bramble family. It's South Australia back on top of the ORC.
Yeah, well, not only South Australian, but the fact that they're a pro light as well. I think it just shows they're an incredibly quick team, 100%. But their consistency, so obviously their car prep, everything about them is very professional. Like, they're doing a fantastic job, and great people to go with it. So very, very, very happy for them, and looking forward to what's next for them.
Luke, just quickly before we go, mate, anyone you'd like to thank? I know.
No, all the support, really. Like, to be honest, it was, just the messages before the race, messages after the race. The crew that came over with us, the fact that they, we're not a big team. We are a little team, but they paid their own way. They took their holidays then to come over and help us out. Like, we couldn't do it without that. Like, we just love the fact that they're happy to do that and share it with us. And I can't thank them enough for that. Like, it was just amazing. Cam from Racer Imports, as always, he's just incredible to us. So all our apparel, all our everything that made us look good on the day was all thanks to Cameron. Our shirts, our race suits, everything was all him. So as always, big shout out to Cam. And just the support from everyone for making us feel like Australia was definitely behind us. It was fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. It was a great
and one special thank to Paul from America as well. So I'm sure he's going to watch this.
True. Yep.
He pretty much logistically did the whole event for us and had everything planned from start to finish. Just massive thank to Paulie. Even got him to say "boof" properly by the end of our trip, so that was good.
Very good.
These Americans can't say "boof."
Boof was good.
He kept calling me "boof," but we got him sorted by the end of the trip. But
very good.
He was excellent. He was brilliant. Even just sitting down and talking the whole event out with him, and he had everything sorted. It was great. So big thanks to Paulie.
Made life a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's about it tonight. Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Wolf, for joining us on Frogs Hollow TV. I know you're a good, massive fans of the show. We're thrilled to have you on after your recent trip to Mexico, and we look forward to seeing you backside in 2025.
I appreciate it, mate. Thanks for your time. Thanks for having us on.
No worries. Thank you. Cheers. There we go. Luke and Wolf.
Thanks, mate.
I could have